If you don't know this by now, selling life insurance is hard. But in this video, I want to show you the easiest way that a brand new agent in 2024 can go from 0 to 6 figures in less than a year, all while having a very low skill set, or even if they absolutely suck at sales. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Kevin Montes. I work in the financial industry, specifically selling final expense life insurance, mostly over the phone. And in the past 18 months, I've been able to go from $14,000 a year in income to about 150 grand in commissions. And the reason that I make these videos is just to show you how I did it so that you could do the same. So what is the easiest way to sell life insurance in 2024? I'm just gonna get right to the chase. So if I were a brand new agent and I wanted to cross over 6 figures as fast as possible, the first thing that I would focus on is the type of life insurance that I'm specifically selling, the vertical that I'm getting into. And I personally would pick final expense life insurance any day of the week. Now, why do I say that? Is final expense life insurance the easiest thing to sell? Is it an easy sale? Absolutely not. I don't care what somebody else says. There is no such thing as an easy sale. So then why would I say that it's the easiest thing to get into? Well, first of all, as a new agent, when you get into business for yourself, there are so many different things to learn, which that's something I wish I knew when I was getting into it. It's just so easy to kind of lose your mind while you're trying to, figure out so many things at once. And that has nothing to do with selling life insurance. That's really more becoming self-employed and starting your own business, right? That's how it goes. So the best thing that you can do as a new agent is to simplify the freaking process. And I do believe that final expense life insurance is as simple as it gets when it comes to the products that life insurance offers. It's a small policy designed for, burial, cremation, maybe a bit of other expenses that, come with someone's passing, and they're designed to pay the family out quickly. I mean, that's as deep as it gets, but it is so freaking simple, which allows you to dive right into it and start learning about the sales process itself to actually make money. It also includes a massive market. So final expense life insurance is specifically meant to serve older demographics. It's usually people at the ages of 55 to 80. And so this generation here is what's known as the baby boomer generation. So that was our largest population boom in history. And they're looking at things like, first of all, retirement, of course, but also life insurance, which is why right now specifically the opportunity in the life insurance space is massive. That's why so many people are making money in Medicare as well, right? We've got roughly 10,000 people turning 65 every single day, right? So, and this is the same market in final expense. Now, in my opinion, final expense is easier to learn and understand than Medicare. This is also why I would choose final expense over Medicare to start off with. But anyway, so yeah, the market is massive, which means the bigger the market, the more people that need your help, meaning the more opportunity for you. Like final expense leads, for example, are typically going to be easier to find and more affordable than other types of leads, like IUL leads or mortgage protection leads, right? That's just how it goes because the demand is there, right? There's a lot of people that are always requesting that information. And it's also a very stable market because, they're on a fixed income, so they're not as affected by recessions and other stuff. And I don't really want to get into all that right now, but I hope you get the point, right? Very stable, huge market, easy access, simple product. The need is definitely there. And the last thing I'll actually mention about it is the quick payout. There's a lot of carriers that will pay you on a final expense sale, like the next day after you made the sale, which is great, right? Because now you're becoming profitable as soon, as early, and as quickly as possible, which is especially important if you're buying leads, right? And you're having to fund them for the next batch. Okay, so that's what I would be selling, and that's probably the easiest thing to get into. But now, how would I do it? And what about this makes any of it easy? Well, the next thing that I would focus on is buying a high volume of leads at the lowest cost available. So now that probably sounds like a no-brainer, like kind of like a no shit moment. Here's the thing. When I started off, I would go to the top producers around me and any event we'd go to, and networking event and all this stuff. I would go to the top producers and I would ask them, hey, what leads are you running? How many times have you asked that to a top producer? Hey, what leads do you use? Listen, here's the reality. Top producers are probably already making a certain level of income and have a certain level of skill set to where what they are prioritizing is efficiency on how can I do as little as possible to get the biggest outcome. That way they can either spend more time with their families because that's what they did it for, right? That's their reward, I guess, or that was their goal. Or, if it's someone like myself, spending the least amount of time selling as possible so that I can work on building the agency and building our long-term income strategy. So what does any of this have to do with anything? I myself at this point in time am getting to the point where I'm not going to be using the same leads that got me to 6 figures. So what I need is a high quality lead source that's going to allow me to continue to make my money while not having to spend as much time. Here's the problem. That's going to cost more money. That's going to be higher risk. But I'm at a point now where I'm confident in my ability to sell. So, me spending, let's say, $1,500 a week on leads, for example, I know I can make that return back. So I'm at a point now where it's reasonable to do that. But when I started, I was buying those type of, high quality leads. I was actually doing direct mail leads, which they're very high intent. Someone's literally handwriting into a lead form and sending it back. And that's when I was doing face to face. But I wasn't selling them because I freaking sucked. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I actually ended up losing a lot of money. On a good month, I would break even and make that money back so I could just buy more leads, right? But most of the time I was actually in the red because I was spending too much money on leads and not selling enough. So what I'm telling you is, if you're new and if you're still not making money, if you're not making 6 figures, if you still suck, this is going to sound very counterintuitive, but stop trying to buy the best leads out there and focusing on the quality and all this. Buy the lowest cost, lowest intent, whatever leads that you can possibly get your hands on. At least this is what I did. Worked for me. It's worked for my team. To this day, I'm still running those low intent leads, by the way. Like I said, I'm just going to start transitioning now. But I would buy those, the lowest cost leads possible so that I can have as many as I possibly can, have as many opportunities as I can to work with, and increase the likelihood that at the worst case, I'll accidentally stumble onto a sale. Most people are not going to give you this advice. I'll tell you this. I'm giving you guys a dirty little freaking secret in the industry, by the way, so pay attention. Me as an upline, I benefit more if my downlines are selling high levels of AP regardless of whether or not they're profiting. Because think about it. I don't make money whether or not they profit because I don't spend on their leads, but I make money on the overrides from what they sell. So these guys can be in the freaking red and I'm getting rich because I'm overriding the sales and they're over here just, barely making it. Now, here's the thing. I got tired of seeing that around me, and I'm just the type of person that I don't just do something because everyone else does it. Oh, well, that's what they do. So no, that. There's got to be a better way. Like, if I don't like how something's going, I'm going to figure out a way that I actually like. It is what it is. I'll figure it out. And I got tired of being at the top of leaderboards and going broke overpaying for leads and then seeing other people do the same. And I decided to take a risk on, buying these very low intent, low cost leads. Why would this make selling easier? Well, here's what it did for me and my team. See, if you're brand new and you've already gone out in the field for a little bit, have you ever heard the term commission breath? Which is basically when you as the sales agent, you're so freaking desperate for the sale that it comes off in the presentation or it comes off in your attitude or somewhere the client can feel it, and so they push you away because they can easily tell that you're so desperate for the freaking sale. That was me running higher cost leads because it was such a freaking risk. Like, I'm like, dude, I spent money on these leads. If I don't make my money back, if in my mind I'm like, if you don't buy, like, I'm not eating. And that's not a good feeling, dude. It doesn't help. At least for me, it made me more desperate, and it actually had a negative effect on my sales. When I started buying lower cost leads and I had 200 leads to work with, and I only spent like $500 or so, someone could tell me no. I'm like, dude, next. I have 199 other people I can call. Yeah, and it's just such a freeing feeling. And so I was able to take the pressure off of myself a bit and, take the attention off of me and put it on the client and their needs. In turn, that actually helped me sell a bunch more, even though I was having to spend more time on the phone because, again, they were lower intent leads, so I'm having to get through more of them to actually make a sale. But at the end of it all, it took one very small policy to be able to break even, and anything after that was profit. And that was a very freeing experience. It allowed me to focus on learning and practicing. It allowed me to get as many reps in as possible and get through the practice phase of my selling career. And it just really expedited that process for me. And it's done the same for my team, I'm telling you. So number one, I'd focus on selling a simple product so that I can focus on the sales process more than, the product knowledge. Number two, I'd try to find a very low cost lead source, even if it means lower intent, even if it means more time on the phones, because that's a small sacrifice that I'm willing to pay, up front in order to expedite my learning curve and just be profitable as soon as possible. Now, number three is to simply run the freaking numbers. Probably hear that a lot, right? right? It's a numbers game, which I'm starting to actually kind of shift my perspective on that a little bit, but that's, a topic for another video. But in the very beginning, when you don't know what you're doing, it absolutely is a numbers game. Matter of fact, when a brand new agent comes in with us, the first thing we do with them is we'll give them a relatively high number of dials that they need to hit in a week in order to move on to the next step, which that's when we'll actually teach them how to be good. The reason we do that is because in the beginning, you suck anyway. You're not going to become, the Michael Jordan of sales within a week, right? It's just not going to happen. And so the easiest way to cross over six figures and become profitable without getting any better is to simply power through the numbers, to increase activity. Because see, you'd probably think, well, making more phone calls and spending more time on the phone that's hard. What are you talking about? I'm working harder. Although yes, it's physically demanding and time consuming, I'm sure you can agree that it is a lot easier to just keep pressing the freaking phone button and saying hello than it is to try to become an expert in sales, right? This is going to come naturally with time, practice, experience. This is something that you can force from day one. This is 100% in your control. And this is not, it's in your control, but you're not going to be good right away. It is what it is. So again, although it's very tedious, I've found that it's a lot easier to do significantly more of something than it is to actually get better at that one thing. Now, does that mean you should never try to get better and always play the numbers game? No, absolutely not. That's actually what I did for a while, and that's very fatiguing. I don't recommend that. But to start, to make your first $10,000 month, that is absolutely the easiest way to do it. But that's what I would focus on. If you're a brand new agent, or even if you're not new, but you're not making six figures, it just means that we haven't learned the right skills, or we haven't put in enough time, or, we're just not doing the right things, not focusing on the right things to make it, because life insurance is the opportunity of a lifetime. But again, I don't want to get into that, but it's so easy to make six figures here. So if you're not, then this is by far going to be the easiest way that you can just force your way past that threshold, that six-figure threshold. Again, even if you do suck, because here's the thing, and I'm going to wrap it up with this. I want you to think of the sales process as a funnel. Let's actually start at the very top. Amount of opportunities that I have, meaning amount of leads in my pipeline. We have that at the very top. Then we have amount of people I actually call from those leads. Okay, then I have how many of those people actually answer when I call. Then I have how many let me present when they answer. And then after that, I have how many sales I actually close. And then below that, there's also how many stick. But again, that's a different topic for another day. But again, let's look at the funnel. So at the very top, we have amount of opportunities. Therefore, the more amount of opportunities that I have, the bigger the funnel. So if I don't have much money, well then how can I get as many freaking opportunities as possible to maximize this funnel, right? That's the second point that I talked about today, right? And then it becomes actually calling the freaking people. If you don't, you can have 1,000 leads. If you don't call anybody, it doesn't matter. All right. So now all of this is obvious. Here's why I'm showing this illustration. Okay. Well, I want you to notice something. See how the very top is bigger? And I talked about this in another video, but a lot of new agents will focus on increasing their close ratio. Okay. But here's the thing. Let's say you have honestly, a 50% close rate is pretty amazing. It's pretty good, especially if you're a brand new agent and you have 50%, that's freaking great. Well, 50% of 20 phone calls is 10 sales. Now, let's say that, I don't know, Alyssa, my competitor here, has a 20% average close rate and she makes 100 phone calls. Well, 20% of 100 is 20 sales. So see, I have a higher close rate. She has a lower one. But she made double the sales that I made because she increased her activity tremendously. And so that's what I mean when I say the easiest way to cross over six figures, because developing skills is hard and it's going to take time, practice, learning, commitment. You're just not going to be good in a week. That's just not realistic. So you're going to have to put in the numbers in the beginning, right? Just maximize that output, do an unreasonable amount of activity so that it becomes unreasonable for you to not make any sales. I've seen people that sound like this on the phone and like literally, and that's not an exaggeration, but I've seen people with no personality, no offense by the way, right? But just no personality, no charisma, no, persuasion skills, and they've been able to have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 weeks, which I know is not amazing, right? But that's like 12 to 20,000 in a month. And for someone with absolutely no skill set to have those kind of numbers and be profitable, most importantly, just be profitable, it's freaking amazing. And that's just because they run the numbers. Now, disclaimer, that's not where you want to be forever. There's going to be a point where you go from running the numbers, if you do that for too long, you're just going to burn yourself out. So you want to get to a point where you just become better, right? Where you're learning how to connect with clients better, and I will make videos on that in the future. But to start off with, if you have not made 6 figures, stop trying to be the best closer in the world and just go run the numbers. I promise you, that's what I did. I've seen it happen repeatedly with my team. I've even had top producers outside of my team that consulted me because they were finding themselves at the top of the leaderboards, but still freaking broke because they were overspending on leads. And ever since they took this advice, they've been profitable ever since. Just run the numbers. Stop trying to obsess over the best leads. Just basically buy as many leads as possible for as little money as you can. Work those like they are made out of gold. And eventually, if you talk to enough people, skilled at it or not, you're gonna accidentally stumble upon some sales, and you're gonna learn what actually works along the way. Not what people tell you works, but what actually freaking works, which is the most valuable thing about this whole process in the first place. So that is the easiest way to go from 0 to 6 figures as a brand new agent. Make sure you're focused on a very simple product so you don't have to overwhelm yourself with all this information while you're trying to learn how to sell. Don't obsess over expensive, high quality leads. Just fill your pipeline with as many as possible, which probably means buying the lowest cost so that you can have a tremendous amount of opportunities. And 3, run the freaking numbers. Put in a ridiculous amount of activity to where it becomes unreasonable for you to not make some sales. Now, with that said, I know this is probably not the sexiest advice in the world. It's probably not what you wanted to hear, but it's real. And to be honest, I could give a how you feel about me. I just want you to win, because when I needed this advice, there was nobody out there to give it to me. So I hope this helps somebody out there. And with that said, till next time.